Hello, this is Omega Ace Gaming with a post commentary for Silver Surfer. This game was actually requested by Moz Power. More specifically, it was requested by Captain Algebra. But seeing as that Captain Algebra had already requested another game prior, being Barbie for the NES, Moz Power chimed in and asked me to play it as well. And seeing as that they didn't break any rules technically by having one request on behalf of the other, I accepted Mozin's request and I played Silver Surfer for him. Silver Surfer is one of those games that I don't think I would have ever played had it not been requested of me, largely because I don't really play horizontal shooters all that much. In fact, if you look at my channel, there's probably a total of 2, maybe 3 horizontal shooters to date. Now, I'm not saying that I dislike the genre or something like that. No, I actually rather enjoy it, but it's not really something I go after. I'm usually a bigger fan of platformers. Platformers are usually what I tend to play. Now, I actually chose this level because everybody had suggested that I start with this level. I tried to be a little different and pick Fire Lord first instead of Reptile, but I found one specific section of Fire Lord's level to be quite risky without the use of several bombs. So so instead of going for Fire Lord's level first, I went with Reptiles. I think it's pretty obvious just from glancing at this gameplay that I'm not tapping A like crazy. I did initially try that. I did just tap A like during my first blind run of the game. And during that blind run, I played the game for about 3 hours via live stream, and my best was like 2 levels. I had completed Reptile's level and Fire Lord's level, and then I tried Mephisto's level for a little bit, and by then I was tired. So I had decided to just call it quits for the day. But I had enjoyed the game so much that I said to myself, I said, okay, I'm definitely not throwing in the towel on this one. I have to come back to it. At a point playing the game for so long and tapping A for so long, I had determined that it was unnecessary for me to tap A for the entire game, especially when I was just practicing it. So I decided to hook up a controller, a specific controller, and this is a controller that I hold dear. It was actually a gift from Big Family Gaming, so, a huge shout out to Big Family Gaming for giving me my favorite controller of all time. And that controller is the Hudson Soft Joy-Card Sanshui Triple S controller. And that controller has little switches built in for the turbo feature, so you can individually program, well, maybe not program, but you can individually select which buttons you want for, to use for turbo, for the turbo function. And each button has a little switch that you can set to, like, standard, and then one that does like a rapid fire, and then one that does it even faster. So I just flipped the A button to the highest rapid fire, and I just left it at that. I actually want to give a shout out to both 21 Sandwich and EC Myers for being so uplifting, for pushing me, because they knew after my second stream of this game that I had the no death run in the bag. See, the second time that I streamed the game, I had accomplished a 1cc. And both of them had told me, inside conversations, that they were confident that I was going to, no death run the game. In fact, the night that I no death ran this game, EC Myers, he basically called it. He said, "You're going to no death run the game tonight." And maybe I wasn't nearly as optimistic, so I said something along the lines of, "I'll see," But here I am. With a post commentary for the no death run, so he was right. Mephisto's level is one of the levels in the game that I find most intimidating. I had to get used to the patterns of these ghosts. Or well, not so much a pattern as much as the rate of how often the ghosts come out. And it also has these enemies that, they hop upwards if you don't kill them. In fact, one of them had just passed a little while ago. And they had cost me quite a few deaths, actually, when I was, practicing and getting a feel for the game. There they are, those little bouncing guys right there, yeah. So at this point in the game, I'm maxed out on the firepower, and I have a considerable amount of bombs. I don't think I'm maxed out on speed yet, but I am maxed out on firepower, which, is the most important. I think you cap at 5 bombs. And I find Firelord's level most comfortable when I have at least 3 bombs to get through it. And I'll be sure to mention, at what point I find the bombs most crucial in that level. For me, one of the major draws of the game was actually the music. Even though it does have a limited amount of tracks, I would have loved it if, the composer had created unique tracks for every level. But, even though he didn't, the tracks he did make for the game are amazing. I really, really love the music in this game. That part right there is a piece of cake when your firepower is all maxed out. So this specific section of this specific level holds one of the, I'm gonna call them BS moments of the game, where, plenty of skill is applied, sure, but luck is also a major factor. And it's because of this section with these hands right here. It's a little scary. Sometimes they throw out the ball at a rate that you can't really predict, and you're maneuvering around one, and then another hand, or one of the second or third hands, kind of throws a curveball at you, and you don't see it coming. So, and this right here, I'd say is the biggest culprit. You could tell I was really freaking out right there because I was waiting for that hand to throw a ball, and it didn't throw one. There had been instances where I was waiting for a long time, well, for as long as I could, for the hand to throw a ball, and it didn't. And then I tried to fly right past it, and at that moment, the hand threw a ball at me. And I consider that one of the first major BS moments of the game, where, it's just bad luck. You happen to be flying across, and that's when the hand decides to throw a ball. If you try to wait it out, it just doesn't throw one until the last moment. I quickly learned to not shoot that guy right there, or the second guy. I wasn't supposed to shoot the third one either, because as you saw when you destroy him, he scatters into a bunch of small bullets. But I accidentally did it there anyway. Fortunately for me, it worked out. And as you saw, the boss is a pushover when you have your firepower maxed out, so. So at this point in the game, I had plenty of bombs, so I was confident that I can complete Fire Lord's level. I actually enjoy Fire Lord's level more than most of the levels in the game. I don't know if it's the scenery, if it's the enemies, something about this level I actually like more than some of the, most of the other levels in this game. I say Possessor is my favorite level, because you actually utilize the B button a lot more in Possessor's level. And I feel that that's one of the unique features of the game is aiming those little ball things. So Possessor's level and I believe Magic Domain, the final level, have you use your aim quite a bit. So that's one of the reasons I really like Possessor's level. Since I have a little bit of a lull here in my commentary, I'm just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to give a shout out to Stampede Gaming. He's a really, really good guy. Really, he creates challenges frequently for himself, unique challenges, as opposed to, most of us who just decide to pursue no death runs. He likes to add other elements to his channel, so he does more than just that. He'll occasionally, handicap himself and then try to play through a game, say without power-ups. And I always thought that was really cool about his channel, so. Those pumpkins, I'm never gonna forget. There was an instance in one of my Silver Surfer streams where one of the pumpkins had caught me off guard. And it came so dangerously close to making contact with me that it scared me into shouting pumpkin. I just shouted it really loud. And that moment made a big impression on me, so I clipped it, I uploaded it on the channel, and it's this pumpkin right here. It's dead now, but it didn't jump up during my live stream, so I couldn't kill it. So I took a risk. I said, okay, well, now I'm just gonna have to fly through and pray that the pumpkin doesn't pop up. And it popped up as I was flying just above it, and I had narrowly escaped that death. I had actually failed to mention earlier in my commentary that I did use quite a few bombs in this level to avoid dealing with the randomness of some of those sections. There was a section earlier where there was a waterfall of fire, and I had canceled it out with a bomb, as well as another segment with pumpkins bouncing up below me, where I had used another bomb as well to avoid getting randomly hit by them, because that was the source of so many of my deaths. And that sub boss that I just killed, He's actually quite a threat. He's scared me time and time again. With a lot of close calls, so, you know, I learned to keep my guard up against that specific mini-boss. So once you know the positioning of Fire Lord, this section's actually a freebie. It's super easy to beat him. And what I do is I line myself up with, well, in this case here, I line myself up with the dude just above me there, that like skull-looking thing. And I found that was like a bit of a safe spot there. And right here, if I line myself close to these, I don't know what I'm gonna call them, inverted candles. I don't know. You could just fire just above those little stands. I don't know what to call them. Candles, stands, candle holders. I don't know. If you line yourself up with those, you can take out Fire Lord no problem. So at this point in the game, I'm halfway. For whatever reason, the Emperor stage, I found to be the most intimidating. Not because it has so much like a random factor, but what it does have is an overwhelming amount of enemies that fire projectiles. Like that dude right there fires 3 at a time. There goes another one. So a lot of people, I guess you could say, find this level easier because what happens is actually predictable. But because of the amount of enemies on the screen, I found it very easy for me to become careless. And accidentally, I don't know why I grabbed that power-up when I did, but I was already maxed out. I just instinctively grabbed it. So because of the amount of enemies on the screen, I found this level to be quite intimidating, because I didn't want to... See, like right there, I almost died. I had forgotten about that tank. Just on sheer luck alone, that tank didn't take me out right there. But yeah, the amount of cannons in this level, the amount of flying projectiles, that they don't necessarily blend in with the background, but they kind of move with it, so it's easy to overlook them, you know? Fortunately for me, this was the run. I didn't get hit by stray bullets. Enemies didn't fly into me. I got through it. I got through that section, and I was really relieved, because that for me was one of the most intimidating sections in the entire game. Section 2 of Emperor's level I found to be quite boring, very uneventful. So I guess you could say I kind of just took this opportunity to just kind of calm my nerves and just kind of think, reflect on some of the upcoming levels. Yeah, Emperor Section 2 is very easy to manage as long as you know what's coming, you know? Like these little cannons right here. As long as you know that, you know, when they're approaching, you're fine. I mean, the entirety of the game is really hard on a first playthrough because you don't know what's gonna fly at you, and some enemies, they fly so fast, you're not even mentally prepared for them, you know? But when you know what's approaching in Emperor's Section 2, it's really easy, just really easy to manage, you know? I guess one thing you have to watch out for here is these enemies. Because their bullets tend to blend with the background, it's easy to overlook them and get taken out by accident. But because I was vigilant and kept an eye out, a frequent eye out, I just, you know, they didn't really get me. There were instances where I would just avoid this S right here that's approaching. I don't recall if I got it on this run or not. Let me see. Yeah, I guess I did. Okay. I found it an unnecessary risk, so oftentimes I would just leave it there. But I guess I was kind of feeling myself at this moment, so I just went and grabbed it real quick. And from here, it's really just about positioning. You don't really... It's a really easy sub-boss. and that clears section 2. Section 3 of Emperor's level's actually really not a level at all. You know, it just takes you straight to the boss. And as long as you know to take out the little cannons at the very top first, there they go. The rest is really easy. You just take your time, make sure you don't fly down too fast and get hit by a stray bullet. And an Emperor's Cake. So Emperor is definitely the easiest boss in the game. At this point, my heart's racing, because I know that after I clear Possessor's level, it's just magic domain from there. I almost flew into the ceiling there, trying to take out that cannon. But at the last moment I decided not to, and just decided to just dodge him as opposed to destroying him. I'd say that's one of the bigger risks in this level, is flying too close to the ceiling and just dying from just hitting your head. That bullet right there almost got me too, that was scary. But yeah, as you can see here, Possessor has you use your directional fire more than any other level in the game. Which, you know, I really liked. And I also find the colors in this level really enjoyable. The architecture, if you can call it that, right? It's just a bunch of sprites, but the architecture in the level, with, you know, the artwork and well, not artwork, sorry, the statues, I thought really looked really cool. I myself don't really know anything about Silver Surfer lore, so I kind of talked to a buddy of mine who was like really big on comic books, and he talked to me a little bit about some of the bosses in this game. You know, we didn't dive into great detail, but he did talk to me about, for example, how the Emperor is like a self-proclaimed emperor. He's not actually an emperor, and that he's a Skrull. And I remembered the Skrulls from like the Marvel movies, for example, like trying to think of one here. Captain Marvel, I know has Skrulls in it, so there's that. I'd actually really like to see a Marvel movie. I'm sorry, a Marvel Cinematic Universe Silver Surfer movie. I don't really know enough about the superhero, so I'd like to learn more about him. Although I don't want to go out of my way and, you know, pick up comic books or something like that, so that'd be, I guess, one way to kind of learn a little bit about Silver Surfer is through a movie. Although I know the Marvel Cinematic Universe does make a lot of changes to characters, so I guess that's something I'd have to bear in mind. This section here I didn't really find particularly threatening, although I did die once, and I couldn't really wrap my head around why I died. I guess I kind of just chalked it up to the fact that maybe one of the enemies that was approaching me happened to hit me with a stray bullet and I didn't see it happen. But aside from the one random death, I didn't really find this section here intimidating at all. You might say, at this point in the game, I kind of saw this this section of this level as a victory lap, because I had gotten past you know, the moments that I consider, you know, BS moments. So I kind of just let my knowledge and skills carry me through the remainder of this level, and you know, just coast through it and make it to Magic Domain, which is where the source of so many of my deaths, you know, comes from. The patterns of the enemies are very scary. They're very overwhelming. And I'll actually point it out at you know, when I reach that point in this playthrough, because I want you guys to see the two moments where I basically panicked and happened to survive. So this is by no means a clean Silver Surfer run because I panicked twice. But I mean, it's a no-death run nonetheless. I got lucky, and I got to move on. Now, if I were to say that I want to master this game, then yeah, I probably wouldn't have been satisfied with that right there. Scared me. You can tell I jumped up for a second there, actually. Yeah, had I been pursuing, you know, a mastership, so to speak, of this game, I wouldn't have settled with this run because of how I panicked on the last level. So I'm super focused, I'm a little wide-eyed right there, you can tell, because I know what's coming. It's the last level. It's an, you know, all-or-nothing situation. And rather than look away from the screen, I decided to just focus on the screen and read the text, because I didn't want to change my mental... I don't know how to describe it, really. I didn't want to change my mental scenery. Like, I didn't want to look away from the game, because I knew that doing that would maybe distract me. So okay, so here's the last level. And Section 1 of Magic Domain, for me, is the hardest section in the whole game. And this is one of the sections right here. Right there. Okay, this is one of the moments where I panicked. What a mess. I can't believe I survived that. There I am shaking my head because I knew that despite the fact that I practiced that area so many times, that I still panicked. I let my emotions get the best of me, and I survived that just from sheer luck. I don't know if you guys caught that, but there were so many enemies in my face that you know, had I not taken down, you know, could have ended my run. And I know there's one more section coming up, so I'm gonna have to point that one out as well. I believe it's this one right here. Yeah, right here. Okay, so those were the two sections that I survived, and you might say I was a little disappointed in myself because I definitely panicked. I panicked and I said, oh man, I shouldn't have survived that, but I did. And from, you know, going forward from here, it was really just memorization. I said, okay, the enemies are going to spawn here, spawn there. And I was able to take him out without a problem. Now, Jim Maxey had made a suggestion for the final boss, and what I didn't realize is that he was talking about the final boss, and I thought he was actually referring to the entire level. And that was, you know, his suggestion to aim downwards and fire. And I ended up using that for that section there at the end, where I was taking out the enemies that were flying from below me. And when I had mentioned that to Jim Maxey, he had said, oh, I wasn't actually referring to the level, I was only talking about the final boss. We had a good laugh about that, you know? Shout out to Jim Maxey, such a good guy. Such a good guy, great channel too. Ordinarily, I could just get through that section without the use of a bomb, as well as that section there, but I was so far in, you know, basically done with the game. I didn't want to make any unnecessary risks, so I played it safe and I used 2 bombs there. I held on to the last bomb. I don't recall if I spent it or not. I'm pretty sure I did. Probably against the final boss, I don't know. But I was playing as cautiously as possible at this point. I didn't want to make any risks, you know? Okay, so I contemplated using a bomb at that point, but for whatever reason, I just held on to it. I don't know if I had another segment in mind where I wanted to use the bomb, but in hindsight, I probably would have used it there, because I felt like that was kind of a risk. And here's another section that I've died in quite a few times, just from carelessness. So, as you saw, I definitely took my time at just now. I didn't run through it like I usually do. And this boss right here, this sub-boss, is actually pretty easy as long as you're aware of the positioning that he, puts himself in. Not a terrible sub-boss. Although, he has gotten me in the past. So this is the home stretch, Magic Domain Section 3. Obviously, I'm still nervous at this point, but I'm very excited because I know most of the moments that I consider BS in the game are gone. It's over, It's really just a safe track from here. As long as I didn't get careless, I was going to get through it, I was going to complete it. And those worms right there had gotten me multiple times, but if you anticipate them, you're good, you're set. The game generously gives you a lot of firepower here towards the very end. Rightfully so. The final boss deals a ton of damage. Or not damage, I'm sorry. He receives a ton of damage. He has a big health bar, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I was playing it as safely as possible here. Didn't want to risk getting hit by the trunk or the, I don't know what to call that stuff, the silver stuff that drops out of the trunk. And this is it. This is the final boss. A little disappointed that that the villain in the portrait was not the one that you face at the end of the game. Instead, you fight this giant purple creature with a gun. I don't know what he is, but because of Jim Maxey's tip, again, shout out to Jim Maxey. I did aim downwards whenever he was below me. I feel like maybe this section here I still handled in a way that could have been handled more easily. Like maybe I could have just followed him. Yeah, I probably could have just followed him and just kept firing downwards at him, but I didn't, so I mean, oh well, I got the no death run, In hindsight, I probably could have made it easier on myself, but it worked out. And at this point here, I was focusing on just firing and just trying to get a couple of shots landed on him. I didn't want to lose focus of the bullets that he was firing at me, so at times I was basically not hitting him at all. And I was just kind of hoping some of my stray bullets would hit him. And there it is. There's the no death run. There I am feeling myself, enjoying the music. A little bit of shameless showboating there. And there's my pose. My Silver Surfer pose. I was relieved. I finally got the no death run. I can move on with my life and focus on other aspects of my channel. Just sit back and enjoy the ending. Anyway, thank you all for sticking it out with me, for watching this entire video. Those of you that did stick it out and watch the entire video, I want to give you an extra special thank you. This community has been nothing short of amazing, and I can't be thankful enough for you guys. I got a strangely even score at 650,000. There's my ace.